Presenter is Dr. Patrick Hussain. So he's the CCTLD manager for dotTT. So he's going to highlight basically what dotTT is doing in Trinidad and Tobago and what are his plans for the future. Patrick.
Thanks, Shannon, and good morning. I know I am keeping you from lunch, and this will actually be a short presentation. The reason being, I like both challenges and opportunities. So if there were any, I would have addressed them by now. So actually, last night when I started working on this, I had some difficulty getting some ideas to put together here. Secondly, if you're curious, yes, I have other colors in this. Okay. Okay, so let me just first talk about TTNIC. I'll give a brief overview of TTNIC. TTNIC manages the .TT CCTLD, country code top-level domain. It was registered in 1991, and during the first 2 years, it was managed at the University of Puerto Rico. At that time, I was at electrical engineering department at UE, and I decided, we can handle this. We have the expertise. So we took it over from UPR, and it has been run since then by a company called TTNIC, Trinidad and Tobago Network Information Center. The policies that we use for .TT are defined by a multi-stakeholder advisory group. It's a group made up of all the internet-related stakeholders in Trinidad, and I'll talk more about them later. The MAG will soon be formalized. We couldn't formalize it because we needed one important player, which is the government, and we will soon be including the government in that MAG as well. dotTT has deployed DNSSEC. I believe there was a question yesterday about whether or not, yes, we were signed about 2.5 years or 2 years ago. So we have, I think we were probably the second in the Caribbean to sign. Whether it's been heavily used, no. And I would like to encourage the government, at least the government should be signing as well. So the MAG is as I said, is made up of members of the internet community. It consists of me, Tracy Hackshaw from iGov, well, I shouldn't say he's from iGov.TT, but he's the ICANN GAC vice chair. So he doesn't really represent the government, but he being a member of ICANN is important. Rabindra Jagannath, he's a consultant, and he represents business. Jacqueline Morris, she's at the University of Trinidad and Tobago, and also in the Trinidad and Tobago Computer Society. Sintra Suknanan, who is here, who most of you know, she's with ISOC-TT, and she provides legal advice. And then Devanand Tilaksin, he is the ICANN LACRALO Secretariat, and let me see if I remember this, Latin American Caribbean Regional at-Large Organization. All right? So he represents civic society. So, challenges. What are the challenges that we face? The first one is growth, and this is a challenge that all the islands in the Caribbean face. If you look at the statistics, most of the islands have roughly the same number of domains registered, except for the ones who've outsourced the function to some foreign company, and are basically giving away the names. The pricing is so cheap that they get lots and lots of applications, which is one approach we could use. Charge very cheaply, get thousands of registrations, and sort of dilute the dotTT name. So we decided not to go that route. So growth, when I talk about growth, we would like to see more growth of locally, and we are pushing that. But again, talk about other islands, they have the same issue where the local industry or local companies typically prefer to go with .com. But we have seen a big rise within the last year or so in local growth. What else about growth? Policy input from government. We've always wanted this since the inception of dotTT. We've wanted to have the government's involvement in policy decisions. And so we've been through discussions over the years, over the last, 20 years. And I believe we are at the point where we will have that collaboration or that support. Potential competition from new GTLDs. As many of you know, ICANN is introducing many new GTLDs, like .google and lots of them, .xxx. Yeah, trying to remember ones, but so you probably want to know how come I remember .xxx. it was only because I guess it was one of the first ones to go up. Anyway, so there's the potential of competition from them, and we try to keep that in mind. TTNIC does a lot of things for the local internet community, and one of the things it does is it provides free domains as well as hosting for all local educational institutes. And we've been doing this since about 96. I think in 96, I did the first one for my primary school, Cura Presbyterian School. But it has come to the point where the schools require a more commercial grade service. So we've decided, or I've been doing it personally on my own. So we've decided to hand it over to TT Rent, which is the Trinidad and Tobago Research and Education Network. And we made it clear with them that they should not charge. We never charged, and we made it clear with the TT Rent that they should not be charging the school. So hopefully we'll continue providing good service at no cost. So these are websites. Ideally, the Ministry of Education should be doing this, but let me move on. Opportunities. What we would like to do eventually, and I need, we need, within the MAG, the Multi-Stakeholder Advisory Group, we need to discuss this more. But as I said, we were waiting to have the involvement of the government as well. We would like to introduce a registrar model. In other words, we would have these registrars who would accept registrations on our behalf, etc., which is what many of the bigger countries do. TTNIC never really wanted to do this early on because of the small size. We have very few domains, so we didn't see the need to have registrars, but we are contemplating that issue. So that would provide opportunities for local companies who would like to provide this function. Another opportunity is registration of IDNs. IDN stands for Internationalized Domain Names. So these are domain names with non-Latin characters. So for instance, we already do it for Chinese customers. So for instance, those Chinese characters .tt have been registered. And I actually translated this one. It means China Machinery Manufacturing.tt. So we are getting into the IDN space, and I believe We are the only ones, in addition to Puerto Rico, and I may be wrong, but doing IDNs within the Caribbean. We can offer it to other countries, and we plan to expand in this particular area. Finally, another opportunity is I mentioned GTLDs as being a challenge, but it could also be an opportunity for industries or for us in Trinidad, where we could potentially register, .Trini or something like that, and be able to make use of that. The cost of registering such a domain, however, is on the high side. So unless you have a good business plan, it may be difficult to do that. And those are basically the opportunities and challenges we face. We'll be willing to take any questions. Yes, Jared.
Thanks, Patrick. So it was nice when I have a presentation I can follow as a non-technical participant. A non-technical question. I have a website, as you know, bulletpoints.org.tt, that
Right.
tracks the incidence of intentional homicides and deaths as a result of police shootings in Trinidad and Tobago. It's an open data project that started some time ago with TTNIC's support. And one of the problems that we had was we basically just using a Google spreadsheet to track the murders and the police killings. And often, quite unfortunately, because of the high incidence of murder, the spreadsheet is so large, it takes a long time to load and so on. So would there be opportunities with just combining the announcement of the IXP? Would there be opportunities for sites like that for, say, journalists like myself to host interesting things that they might be interested in of that nature, for those things to work better, to be faster, more efficient?
Yeah, well, first of all, I forget. I know we provided you with the domain. Do we also provide hosting for you?
Are you really going to put me on?
No, I'm sorry, but
I just know you're supported in some way. You gave me a lot of advice and so on.
No, but in terms of the hosting, is it something we do as well? Because we do it for many local charities, etc. In terms of the IXP, well, if they approach us for providing to provide a secondary within the IXP, we would be happy to do that. In terms of hosting, no, you will have to talk to them about whether they will be providing any kind of hosting services within the IXP. But if delays is an issue, the server is the connection to that particular server is slow. We could discuss this offline about how other options.
Thanks.
But yeah, to answer your question about the IXP, it depends on what their objective is, etc. And I have no idea what it is. The only thing I could talk about is secondaries. A secondary for .tt means that they serve queries for .tt as well, but they are not the primary source for it. And we would be willing to put in such a secondary. Thanks, Jared.
Are there other questions for Patrick?
Yes. Do you think there might be opportunity or any benefits for consolidating the various STLs within the region so that you can have shared costs and the ability to maybe put in more robust architecture? And in that case, probably if they were to go that route, then you just have secondaries in the various islands as opposed to each island trying to run their own complete infrastructure, including third-party registrars and so on.
Yeah, I mean, I floated that idea maybe, 10, 15 years ago about there's no need for each of the islands to do this. It's, we are so small that you could have a single registry that would handle all the islands easily without any performance degradation. But of course, there's all the issues of, well, not contact, but we're talking about the technical aspects. You could separate the technical aspects from the administrative aspects and have, like a single server handling all the technical, the administration stuff. So yeah, it would be nice, but it is difficult. I have worked with .bs Bahamas, and I have actually, the software we use for .tt is software I had written like 20 years ago when I first started doing this, and I fine-tuned it and optimized it for my particular needs over the years. And .bs actually uses it. They asked me to install my software for them because they evaluated other versions of registries and decided to go with mine. So not selling my software, but the point is that we could have some kind of common registration platform. And I would be willing to work with any island on that aspect.
Any other questions?
I have two questions. My first question is, the first challenge is growth. What can be done to promote growth? That's my first question. And my second question is, what would you say is the character of the domain name industry within the Caribbean region?
Okay, well, first of all, growth. Price is one way to grow something, but if you look at .jm, for instance, their domains are free, and they still have roughly the same number of domains that we have. So I don't think reducing the price would have a significant effect on. We're talking about local growth, right? Not foreign growth. And the other thing would be advertising. Gov.tt is heavily used, so I think most people know about the existence of .tt. Gov.tt was delegated for free to the government. Edu.tt is also free, and they are also, it's also heavily utilized. So I think people know about .tt. It's just a perception that .com is better than having a CCTLD. By the way, in terms of growth, I mentioned IDNs. I think one of our biggest customers now is the Chinese. I forget what your second question was, sorry.
What's the character of the domain name industry in the Caribbean region? Is it growing? Is it prospering?
It is pretty much stagnant. I've spoken to different managers in the Caribbean. Some of them outsource, and they have no control over what happens with it, basically. The ones who try to handle it in-house are having some difficulties because of expertise, technical expertise. But yeah, there's a lot of room for improvement in .tt as well as others. Yeah.
Hi, Patrick. You said that you have now opened up the .tt domain outside of Trinidad and Tobago, and the Chinese have taken it up. What are the advantages of opening it outside, and are there any disadvantages?
Okay, well, first of all, it was always open. The Latin character, anybody could apply for a name.tt, right? The IDN is something we recently did. The advantage is, of course, growth. Well, first of all, we didn't even think there was a market for these IDNs, but apparently there is, and so there's room for growth through that. The disadvantage is we need to be a little bit more careful about their intentions. Why are they getting these particular domains? And so we need to monitor them a little bit more closely than we would other foreign customers.
Just, if I may, why the Chinese in particular?
Because they were the first one to approach us and said, can you provide us with IDNs? And we said yes. Why .tt is attractive for...
Use the mic, please, for the...
why dotTT is attractive for Chinese community?
It's an interesting question, and I mean, what I would like to say is because of our performance, the way we handle, compared to other islands, you can get be activated within minutes. Although we still have that manual intervention where I personally inspect each application to make sure that there's nothing fishy about it. So there's still that manual step in there, but in terms of getting things activated quickly, responding to changes, etc., we do that at a very rapidly. So hopefully it's because of that. I'm not sure if there's some other reason.
I actually just want to follow up with a possible reason as well. A lot of these companies and, the China itself has a very advanced IP registration and quite a lot of knowledge about trademark rights, etc. So a lot of these registrations are actually defensive in nature. So for instance, our equivalent, say Microsoft.com, would register Microsoft in as many top-level domains as possible to protect its brand. So many of these registrations are defensive as well.
Yes, there's a question here.
Hi, Patrick. Just one quick thing. I'm not too sure if you alluded to it before, but in terms of moving the domain registration and so on, making it easier and also generating awareness, would it be possible, so say for example, you go to a company like Network Solutions or GoDaddy and you can now select a .tt domain to register from there instead of having to come to TTNIC?
Well, yeah, so that's the registrar-registry model where we allow registrars abroad to register on our behalf. So we will look at that. Some of them do it right now, but it's not a formal arrangement with them.
Any other question, Kevin?
Hi, morning, Patrick. I do apologize. I missed part of your presentation, but I just wanted to find out if you think there'll be any value in having a Caribbean level e-business discussion where we introduce the ideas of the CCTLDs or Caribbean-related GTLDs as part of that Caribbean brand, if you think that is something that could actually change some of the perceptions that currently exist.
I think anything collaborative within the region would be beneficial, both business-wise as well as technical-wise. I can speak more on the technical side of things, and there are some islands that, we've been in discussions as well about providing technical help to some of the other islands because, as I said before, many of them, when they realize they do not have the expertise in-house, they tend to outsource it, and then they basically lose control over how it's run and policies, etc. And my recommendation is that they try to avoid that as much as possible. The capability, the expertise to do it in-house, is significant, but it can be done. And as I said, TTNIC as well as some of the other more advanced CCTLDs like Puerto Rico, etc., are more than willing to help with technical expertise.
As a follow-on for my question earlier, you noted there's a lack of technical expertise. For a lot of students in Trinidad, and the IG field is growing, what should they be studying to give you what you need to assist?
You mean what should the technical people be studying?
Students who want to become involved to help, to give you that technical expertise, what do they need to be studying? Of course, they should be pursuing degrees.
Well, of course, this is a computer science area. So at UE, for instance, we actually have two departments that covers this area, computer science and electrical engineering department. But yeah, just basic knowledge on networking and computers and operating systems and cloud technologies and DNS. And so any decent degree, bachelor's degree in computer science would cover all the material needed.
Any other questions? I do have a question, Patrick. You were mentioning that basically right now you're just waiting for the government to be on board on the MAC.
Yeah.
So by when do you expect them to be on board? And what do you expect to happen once they are aboard? Would you see some fundamental changes in the way that dotTT is being managed, or what?
No, there won't be any fundamental change, except that now we will have a policy advice from the government as well. As for the time frame, we are working on it, and hopefully definitely by the end of the year, something should be in place. But it will essentially be what we have right now, except that the MAG itself will be formalized, and we'll come up with a funding model for the MAG. For those of you, when I say MAG, it means this multi-stakeholder advisory group. We'll come up with a funding model for the MAG, and we'll have the participation and the approval of the government on some of the policies we make.
I just
Okay,
want
thank you.
just to respond as well to that, a cabinet note may be involved, so we may have to have some kind of level of cabinet or parliamentary approval. So again, that is based on that schedule, so it's not something that we could really strictly determine in terms of our time.
Just another comment. I mean, I know that in the past, a lot of governments were discussing to, let's say, take over CCTLDs in the Caribbean. How is that development going on right now, and what can you tell about Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, you'll have to ask them if they will. I could just say that over the years, there have been several attempts. I have approached the government over the years to collaborate, especially on policies, and there have been attempts to just take full control. The issue is that they need to get it done through ICANN, and it requires approval of the local internet community, which they couldn't get. So as to what their present plans are, hopefully the fact that they are joining the MAG is an indication that they've decided not to go that route anymore. But I can't say.
Okay. So thank you very much, Patrick. We're going to have lunch now. And after lunch, let me just verify something here. Let me just